Yo guys, what is going on? Insanity coming back at you today with another Division 2 video, and the hype week for the Division 2 is going to go ahead and continue on here on this channel, and this time we're going to be talking a little bit about a topic that is both very, very loved and hated by others, and I'm talking about the Dark Zone. Now, what is the Dark Zone? Basically, it is a place for ground zero where the virus broke out. Everything is considered a loss in the DZ, and it's basically a place where it's kill or be killed. That's the environment that you have to pretty much live in. This is the place where PvP is born in the Division, and it was meant to be that way. It was always meant to feel like you were unsafe. It was an uncertain place. It gave you that really big time feeling of you don't know what's going to happen, and having that feeling made it a really special place. Now, when it comes to loot, items that are found in the underground are definitely going to be with that contaminated status. So you have to extract these items for decontamination before you can use them. Once they get extracted, they go into your stash and you can put them in your inventory, sell them, dismantle them, whatever you want to do with them. It's all up to you. But this is where the PvP engagements really get exciting, because whenever you used to start an extraction, you always knew, okay, someone wants to get something out. This is important. Let's go ahead and try and go over to this person, kill them, and take their loot. Basically, this is when the majority of all the PvPing would start back in the day, is you would wait until someone tries to do something and then try and take it from them. Now, this day and age is a little bit different because everybody has so much stuff and everybody has pretty much everything that they need. Unless they see an exotic drop or a bunch of yellow caches, that's like all they're going to pick up. But when it comes to high-end gear, it used to be very, very scarce in the early days of this game. Before it had like that major drop-off in player base, after that like initial month and a half or whatever it was when the game first came out, if you found a high-end piece of gear, you went, oh my gosh, I got something valuable. Let's go ahead and get this thing out so I can put it on my character immediately. And that's just how that was. Now, as the Division has evolved and things have changed, whether it be through the 1.4 update and the time to kill, to the Rogue 2.0 system in 1.7 and how things have changed the way player engagement works, there's been a lot of things that have changed for both sides of the spectrum, and I wanted to go ahead and try and break down both of those with you guys today to show that we do not need a PvE Dark Zone. That is something that should never be created. It totally defeats the purpose of the Dark Zone. That's what the Light Zone is for. If you want to go ahead and just farm stuff and never have to deal with player engagement, that is where you stay. If you want to have that engagement of PvE with other NPCs and then have the random person to go rogue on or have them go rogue on you and have the chance of actually trying to take their stuff, great, wonderful, go in the Dark Zone. That is the way it was meant to be played, and that is how the separation of campaign meets PvE and PvP meets PvE in the Dark Zone. It's kind of a mixture. It was really, really strange at first. It didn't make a whole lot of sense before launch, but now it does. So let's talk a little bit about the PvE side of things. How much has things changed for the PvE player in the Dark Zone to try and get them to jump from that Light Zone to go through that door and go, you know what? I'm now entering a contaminated area. Let's go ahead and try and get what we need from ground zero so we can get some better loot. Well, let's go ahead and start with this. Distractions have been made to try and make it for the PvE player a lot more fun and engaging, right? You have those more wonderful engagements such as supply drops where you get guaranteed loot in your bag if you succeed in securing that box. The next thing on the list we're going to go ahead and talk about is landmarks. I used to go in the DZ just to clear landmarks all the time. This is way before that you would get guaranteed div tech. Or for the fact that they started adding, if you clear that landmark, you're going to get a guaranteed piece of gear and DZ funds. I mean, that wasn't a thing back in the day. That didn't start happening until like 1.6, maybe 1.6.1. I can't quite remember. Around that time is when that started happening. So imagine all the landmarks you cleared before that, if you were already doing that. Then we got contaminated events, which contamination events are basically underground sessions where you're going to have nothing but cleaners. The contamination level's at level 6, I believe. And you have to be able to try and keep yourself alive while trying to take out 6 or more enemies, 2 of them being big, fat, heavy cleaners. And if you do that, not only do you get pretty decent drops, almost guaranteed caches almost every time from the bosses, but you also get gear directly in your inventory, not even needing to be extracted. You can use it on the fly. That is a ton of additional content that was added into the Dark Zone to try and break up that barrier saying, hey guys, I understand that you guys want more PvE content in the Dark Zone and you want your own PvE Dark Zone. We're not doing that. That was never our idea for the Dark Zone. That is not something we built it for, but we're going to go ahead and give you some more PvE activities to ensure that you can still enjoy the Dark Zone without being afraid of coming in of all the player engagement and losing your stuff. Because if you have the chance to get things directly in your bag, they're not going to take it from you. That was one of the things that made this very, very exciting. Next, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about is the PvP side of things. And you have to think for a second, okay, PvP in the Division has gone through a major shift since Rogue 2.0 has come out. But if you go back to the days, the very, very early days, when friendly fire was still a thing, if you were trying to take down a rogue and you accidentally shot the wrong person, you would go rogue, then they had the chance to go ahead and shoot you. If you were someone who was already shooting a rogue, you wouldn't go rogue, but if you accidentally tagged someone else, oh, too bad for you. And we'd have people playing this crazy little chicken dance around people, just trying to make them accidentally shoot them instead, so that you would go rogue and they have the chance to kill you, take your gear, take your XP, and also take your funds. And it used to be at a point where going rogue was so dangerous that you would lose a lot of stuff if you were to fail the entire manhunt or whatever you were at. If you were just being rogue, that's fine. But now it seems like it's been cut down so much that there's no real risk. You know, you're level 99, you have so many million DZ funds, and when it comes to keys, do you really need them when it comes to the drop rate that's already out there in the game world as it is? It's not that big of a deal if you get taken down. So, how do we reinforce this rule? First of all, I never want to see a PvE Dark Zone. Do not bring a PvE Dark Zone to the Division. I never want to see it. That's what a Light Zone is for. Let's keep it that way. The second thing is, the way that they currently have Rogue 2.0 set up, I think is great, but I think it's a little too slow. It's giving people too much of an opportunity to react. I don't like the idea of not being able to get a jump on someone without them just completely trying to start pre-firing on me to already have a disadvantage. I think that's crap. The next thing I want to talk about is friendly fire. I think that is a great thing to keep it away. Do not bring friendly fire back in this game because it created a horrible, toxic dark zone where everyone just kept running in front of everyone to make themselves rogue. Keep it away. We don't need that crap. I like that the way it is. Most importantly, the manhunt system that we now have in Rogue 2.0. I like the idea that we finally have something to work for. Now that you are a manhunt, you're not just running it off. Hey, I got a timer to go ahead and finish up like you did in the early days. I actually have a mini game that I have to try and complete, and everyone in that dark zone is going to try and stop me from doing so to claim my reward, or they can get their bounty caches and I won't get my manhunt caches, or if I succeed, I get my manhunt caches and everyone else just sucks. It's just the way it is. Now, how do we take that but mix it up a little bit? We need to have more ways to get rid of our manhunt as a rogue. There needs to be more than just shade stations. There needs to be some sort of a cleansing option. Maybe there should be a way of being able to do something as a rogue, like on some type of build that you may have. Maybe change Banshee a little bit so that whenever you're like Manhunt 5, everyone else sees you as a Manhunt level 4, and that could be like a perk as one of the talents for a 6-piece Banshee. I mean, you know, the idea of them not really taking it all too serious, but knowing that you're not going to get the same reward that they might think you will. I mean, I'm down for that. Either way, you know, getting your full ammo refilled with the Banshee, all that kind of stuff is great, but they really need to try and just scrap the name Banshee altogether and call it the Rogue gear set and build it for that experience. We need to have a much more interesting cover system here in the Dark Zone. I mean, again, this is going to go back to my original top 5 list, doing that whole chicken dance thing. That is what a lot of people were doing in the DZ whenever they're doing PvP engagements, and that needs to change. We need to try and make it so that you can have a mixture of some things. Some people trying to flank, some people behind cover, people using their healing stations, while others are trying to stun people with sticky bombs, and just doing all kinds of amazing stuff to mix things up to make the PvP more random. Everybody does the same thing. They throw a shock turret down, they kill you with Striker, they kill you with Predator's Mark. Boom, done. Move on to the next thing. They clear their manhunt, they start all over. We need more variety. The last thing I wanted to go ahead and try and touch on a little bit here is the fact that the Dark Zone seems to be getting bigger and bigger in the original game, and I do like an evolving Dark Zone, but the way that they need to do it for the Division 2 is the Dark Zone needs to expand and get bigger and bigger as your campaign progresses. That way, you can kind of see that this virus or whatever's going on in that Dark Zone area is a problem and it's starting to spread outside those walls. And it could be something that's infecting, it could be more of a a faction problem. Maybe that's just like a bunch of people that have finally broken through the walls and they're going to start expanding into the light zone, and the dark zone gets bigger. And that's how, by the time you get to the end game, you have a full DZ that is ready to play in, but it only depends if you finish the full campaign. Otherwise, you're locked out of other areas. The last thing that we're going to talk about is progression. 99 is the current max rank you can have over in the Dark Zone. Bring us prestige type things from Call of Duty. Give us Paragon levels from Diablo. Something that will allow us to still use our amazing gear, but to say, hey, you know what? I'm 99, but I've done it 5 times. What are you at, buddy? Something along those lines. Something that would give you some sort of badge of honor. Being able to say, hey, I've done this many times. Or changing the color of their Dark Zone rank depending on how many times they've done it. Anything. Just something that would be so subtle cosmetically that it would just change the way the person looks. That I'd be fine with that. I mean, I'm down for that. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much a full breakdown of the few things that I want to go ahead and have changed over in the Division 2. The Dark Zone is a wonderful, scary, ominous place, and I want it to stay that way. I do not want it to become a babyfied place where everyone just can do whatever they want and have no consequence. And I almost feel like we have an unusual mixture of that, because even when you get killed as a rogue or when you're on Manhunt, oh man, I lost my keys, but I still have my 10 million credits and I have all this other stuff. Half of my loot is crap anyway because I have better stuff that I'm currently using. That needs to be changed. Anyways, guys, be sure to go ahead and sign off in the comments down below. What do you all think about some of the ideas I have here for the Dark Zone in the Division 2? Now, a lot of it may be fluff. A lot of it may actually happen. We have to see exactly where things go once E3 2018 gets here, but I love the Dark Zone for what it is. I go in the DZ every single day just to go ahead and maybe run landmarks, maybe go rogue on someone for the hell of it to see if I can survive, or just to do anything that's available. Supply drops, contamination events, going through and making sure my weekly's complete, whatever. I love the DZ. I love its unknown state. I would love to see the DZ become more dangerous, add hunters, add really unique high-value targets, give players the ability to go rogue 100% of the time without having to worry about a timer. If that's how they want to play, that's how they want to play. Give players options. Now, one of the things that I will go all the way back to before this video ends was a video that I made way before the days of 1.6. Like, I'm talking still in 1.5, maybe even 1.4. I can't quite remember how long ago it was. I might put a link in the description, but I always came up with this idea that I would love to have contracts in the DZ. I would love the idea of being able to walk up to a checkpoint vendor and be like, hey man, I want to set a bounty on myself, or I want to, try and do a bounty on someone else that's out there that thinks that they're untouchable. And you'd be able to go in there, you can set your value of how many DZ funds someone could get if they kill you, or you can go ahead and pick from a list from people that are already in this server that are doing this themselves, and you can try and hunt them, or you can be the one being hunted. If you win, not only do you get one hell of a reward with whatever the bounty is, but you also get some sort of a crazy bounty cash where you're guaranteed loot that you can't get any other way. This would be specific cosmetics that are built for the idea that you are either a rogue or you're a full-on rogue hunter. Just whichever. Either way, I'm down with it. I'll leave that link in the video description so you guys can go ahead and check that out. It's an old one, but it's a good one. Anyways, guys, sign off in the comments down below. Do you want to see this stuff over in the DZ and Division 2? What do you want from the Dark Zone? Where do you want to see it evolve to? That's just my thoughts, guys. Like if you haven't, sub if you're new. Thank you all for checking everything out, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.